Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of the America Guns and Freedom Podcast. As always, this is just a conversation between myself and my viewers. It's a place you can come every day and ask me any question you want, suggest any topic you want. Doesn't even have to be gun related, and I'll do my best to answer them. But it's also a place you can come and talk amongst yourselves over there in the live chat. There's 130 of you over there. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves. Plus, if you ask me a technical question that I don't know the answer to, or someone asks me about a product that I don't have experience with, pay attention to the live chat. Someone in there will know the answer, or they will have experience with that item, and they'll be more than happy to let you know that. So pay attention and participate. Build a sense of community. That's probably the main reason we do this, is so that you do have a place to come every day and talk for a couple hours with like-minded individuals about common interests and maybe discuss your differences. All come together under a similar umbrella. I like to start off the chat, as usual, by reading the names of people who have bought merchandise over the last 24 hours. Now, I read everybody yesterday, I do believe, who got stuff. I think I read Rick Dott, Jeremy Alderondo, Tim Allen. In fact, yes, I remember because I said Tim Allen twice because he ordered twice. Kevin Burgess, Mike Dial, etc. And everybody who ordered yesterday did get entries into the double super secret giveaway, which is the Henry Axe this month, or if you choose the Car K9 25th anniversary. I'd be curious to know how many people in here would choose the Car K9 or how many people would choose the Henry Axe. Which would you choose? Feel free to let me know in the comments. But today we got one person ordered merchandise, and it was Sean Kidman. And he got some stickers, a hat, a mug, and a t-shirt. The people pissed me off. He also got to keep calm and do not comply. I've got, with the crown, it says, keep calm and do not comply. And that's my main motto. I've got people say, you talk about how you don't support rising up against the government. Have you paid attention to the things I say and the things I put out? Like do not apply with unconstitutional laws and stuff like that. Wow, you're stupid if you think that. But Sean Kidman's not stupid, and he helped support the Pets and Vets program, TYMP, etc., by buying some merchandise. If you want to help support the channel, go on over to TYMPpistolproject.com. That's my personal website. Over there, there's links to my Shopify page where you can buy merch like the Revolutionary Willie here, my Mickey Mouse and his revolutionary gear. The first American flag shirt. There's all kinds of stuff over there you can buy. I draw all of it myself. So go over, get yourself something to support the channel. You can also join Patreon. We need Patreon supporters like crazy. Subscribe Star. You can join that and get patches and everything from both of them. You can also sign up for TYMPPP. You can also nominate someone else for Handguns for Heroes over there so that they can win something. There's also drawings and entries and other stuff you can do over there. So go on over to the website, check it out. Do what you can to support the channel, and just subscribe and hit select all for the notifications. You might not get them because we're a restricted channel, but it doesn't hurt to try. With that being said, let me get over here, see if we got any questions coming in. I know we got a couple people paying their tithe to Phil over here, so let's see. Randall Smith paid his $2 tithe to Phil. And if you haven't paid your tithe to Phil, shame on you. Take care of them pets. They're nicer than most people, and they're a lot more loyal. That's definitely true. Definitely true. John Heasley paid his $2 tithe to Phil and said, I sent you an email subject, light. I saw that. I will, when I get to the emails, I will show that. Sean Bain also paid his $2 tithe to Phil. Says, hail Phil. That's all he said. Remember I said, ask questions. Ask questions, so I got something to talk about. Even if you just spend $2, ask a question. Johnny Mandrick chimed in. Maybe he asked a question. Let's see. Do you have a coach gun? No, I do not have a coach. And he shouted it at me for some reason. I don't know why he's screaming at me. But no, I don't have a coach gun. I used to have a coach gun because I used to do SAS. So I had that Stoger coach gun. It was an awesome little coach gun because coach guns don't have to be fancy. They're very simple. Now, I would like a nice fancy double side-by-side or over-under shotgun, but I've never owned one. But I did own a coach gun, and it was the Stoger, but I don't own it now. I sold a lot of my SAS stuff when I quit doing SAS, like my old lever action shotgun, all that stuff. I sold all that stuff. I needed to get new stuff. I like new things. And I ain't got the money for new things unless I sell old things. So Jason Thompson also paid his $2 tithe to Phil. That's Officer Tater Hater. And he says, I sent more emails featuring gypsy cops moving from agency to agency. I saw that. And I was like, how do people end up being cops with extensive criminal records? The first time I ever went through the process, you had to be clean as a fucking whistle. The second time, not so much. But the first time, you had to be clean as a fucking whistle. But that was Officer Tater Hater chiming in. Then we got Emmanuel Fernandez chiming in. And he said, was planning on buying an AK-47 at the end of the year, but my 4Runner needs brakes and the front end suspension completely rebuilt, axles, ball joints, upper arms, etc. Not too sad because I love my 4Runner. And that's all easy stuff to do. I mean, those parts aren't even expensive. I think I just bought all that stuff for the Subaru. I think I paid maybe $500 for the parts. Well, the axle would be expensive. But the brakes aren't expensive. The axle would be the only, if you're having to replace a front axle, like if you got a live front axle, which I don't know if the 4Runner has a live front axle or is it independent suspension? It should be independent suspension. So it shouldn't be, less than $1,000. And then a day's labor. It's basically just like taking everything apart and putting it back together. What'd you say? Brakes. You said axles. I didn't know the 4Runner had a front live axle. Maybe it does. But, ball joints, that's easy. Upper arms, that's super easy. Yeah, those are all super easy. It's just literally just bolt-ons, basically. That's all you're doing. So that'd be easy stuff. Go do that yourself. You lazy bitch. I'd make Caden do it. If it's me, that's what I'd do. Make Caden do it. I gotta go do it. Let's see here. We got A. DeHilly said, just became a grandpa. You bastard. I want grandchildren bad, but I don't want my kids to have them because my kids can't take care of kids. But I do want a grandkid. I'm hoping like maybe one of my kids will accidentally get some like fall trip and land on a girl and get her pregnant or something. And she'll be a good, responsible mom with a good job. And then I can have a grandchild, but I don't think that's going to happen. A little boy was just born. See, and I definitely would like to have, although I think I would rather have a granddaughter, to be honest. Because, one of the things about having boys was you never got to buy them cute, frilly out. Well, you could, I guess, but mine didn't want them, so I didn't buy them. If they'd wanted them, I may have bought them, but yeah, I would love to have a little boy or a little girl, but I'd like to have a little girl because you can buy the little frilly dresses, the little patent leather shoes and all that stuff. The little boy be cute too. You buy the little, I've always liked the little, like when my nephews and stuff were little, when they were babies, and I would buy them the little Timberland boots and stuff. They're so fucking adorable. I used to dress my nephew up in the flannels, and I used to dress him like a little lesbian with his flannel shirts and his Levi jeans and his little Timberlands. Used to dress him like a lesbian all the time. Little boy was just born to my daughter, and baby Levi are doing great. Just sharing the good news. I am happy. Well, I think I would be too. Not so happy about you getting one and me not, but I want grandchildren. I want a little baby. I want a little girl. I never had girls. I had two boys. I want, like I said, I want to buy little frilly dresses and little patent leather shoes that I can put on a little granddaughter. I mean, I can buy them now, but they'd have to be in my size. And you know how hard it is to find those in my size? I'm not a tiny person. The shoes especially are hard because in a woman's shoe, I wear like a size 14, 15. It's not going to be easy to find cute little shoes in that size. But yeah. And then we got Clinton Barella. You can stand under his Barella. Haven't got to say that for a while. He said, for the pets, but he didn't ask a question. Well, I say, people ask a question, give me something to talk about, because I can't think of stuff to talk about. I'm out of ideas. I think y'all realized that a long time ago. He's out of ideas. And my brain not work as good no more. My brain no work so good. I don't know if I've told y'all this, but I've had several head injuries in my life. Not recently. I did hit my head pretty good the other day, but that was because somebody doesn't know how to fucking close cabinet doors in our bathroom. You go in there with the light off and the cabinet door is standing, bam, right on the corner of it. Where was I? What was I talking about? Let's get back to the questions here. Let's go to the emails. That caught us up on the super chats. Juicy Rodriguez is here, and Juicy Rodriguez says, has the SFS system for the high power been reliable? Yeah, works fine. I wish I'd put it on a different gun, but it works fine. I got it on the tit sauce. I wish I'd put it on my regular high power because I don't want to carry the tit sauce, because even though it's reliable now, I still don't trust it because how much it took to get it reliable. But yeah, the system itself is very reliable. That in one of the compact high power clones would make a nice carry piece. Yes, it does. I like it. So yes, I'm very fond of that system. I like the fact that you carry with the hammer pushed back forward. And then as soon as you release that safety, the hammer pops back. For people who don't know what it is, by the way, it's instead of carrying your gun with the hammer back and the safety on, with this system, you rack the slide, cocking the hammer, getting the gun ready to go. And then you push the hammer back forward with your thumb, and it locks back in the forward position, which engages the safety. So now you're carrying it around with the hammer forward, safety on. But when you pull the gun and disengage the safety, the hammer pops back into the full position, fully cocked position, and then you're ready to go. And it is awesome. Plus, you don't have people going around going, do you know your gun's cocked? You know how many times I've had people tell me that with 1911s and high powers? Probably 6 or 7. But still, that's a lot. Your gun, did you know your gun is cocked? Yes, of course, I know it's cocked. It's a single action gun. Mark L chimed in, says, I believe rallies generally are dumb and useless. Oh, well, you've been brainwashed, dude. They are not dumb or useless. Look at all the coverage they got, all the attention they got, and how much they brought people together, and how people probably left and right of center were out there together yesterday. So, even although I'd say the only people that I would say were definitely excluded from yesterday's activities were the extreme far left and the extreme far right, because neither of them dared show up because they're afraid they'd get their asses kicked. Even like the people here in Portland, they said, you know, any Antifa show up here cause trouble, we're going to beat you up ourselves and give you to the police. So it kept the extremes out. When there's that many people coming together, and there's literally hundreds of thousands of people between Vancouver and Portland, you don't really get out of hand, because, you know, you're going to get your ass kicked. Where was I? Johnny Carrillo just became a new member. So everybody in the WAP, move over. He's in on my WAP now. He's in the WAP now. That doesn't go with it. You're in the Army now. Snuffleupagus used his WAP chat. He's been in my WAP for 29 months, so he's all wrinkly and smelly. But move over, Snuffleupagus. Let Johnny Carrillo in there somewhere. Are you serious? At least most of the time. I don't know. It depends on what you're talking about. Most of my life, no. You know, I'm a person, I love to see the humor in things, and I like to be sarcastic, and I like to be tongue-in-cheek a lot, which makes a lot of people mad. I first learned when I moved to Portland back in the day, when we moved here back in like 96. When I moved here, I was very sarcastic, very abrasive, very, you know, always trying to, very tongue-in-cheek. Portlanders did not get that at all. They thought I was just a hostile, violent person. So they did not get that. And I would like to say I kind of adjusted, but I think more I just whittled down the people I hung around with. People who didn't get it, I didn't want to be around. But I try not to spend most of my time being serious. Now on here, I'm serious more often than not. It didn't used to be. I used to take this very tongue-in-cheek and do all my videos were goofy, but then I saw the fact that what's happening to the gun community, and it's becoming a bunch of hateful, divisive, fear-mongering assholes chasing money and fame. And I thought, it's time to be serious. But every now and then I sneak a little whimsy in. I try to during my live chats and stuff. At least try to. Let's get to the emails here. I already got to one from Juicy Rodriguez. Archie Simmons says, all those illegals, Antifa, need to be stopped. Stopped from what? What are they doing now? Mo G said, do you still work with Forge from Freedom, and do you have any insider info on why they stopped putting their logo on their merch? No, but I never have understood putting your logo on merch. You notice I don't do that because if someone they like my, let's say you like my revolutionary Mickey and you like what it stands for. Well, that don't mean you want my logo wrapped on you somewhere. You might not like me. So I don't put that on there. Now, I guess some people say you should. It's advertising. Someone will see your logo and they'll know where you can get the shirt. But I don't want to make people wear my logo, especially not pay to wear my logo. I just assume people don't want that. That's why I don't do it. But no, I don't work with anybody anymore. I do my own. Frank Rodriguez sent an email in. It's got a picture here, so I'll share it. And I'd actually seen this. He says, Yankee, I thought you might find this mildly amusing. When koalas fail to find a partner, they give up and go back to sleep in frustration. That's the way to live your life. Wake up, say, am I going to get laid? And if it's not, well, just go back to bed. Why will that not close? There it went. Archie Simmons says, hey, Yankee Marshall, it was a joke of the people they were. What? It was a joke. Most of the people there were illegals. No, not even close, dude. What kind of bullshit are you swallowing if you actually think that? I should have deported them and not let them come back. Yeah, that would have been a good move. To try that against that crowd. Have y'all managed to get rid of the mag ban in Washington State? No, it's pretty much on hold right now because until the Supreme Court gets off their ass and enforces stuff in cases that are ahead of us, won't ever anything happen. No such thing here. They buy 30, 40, 50 mags. I prefer 30 and above. I mean, I can still get them too, but I don't like the law. How could anyone be brainwashed to think that that crowd was mostly illegals? There ain't that many illegals in the country. Definitely not. Illegals don't show up for things like that. It's like when they talk about how illegal people doing this and illegal people doing it. Well, most of them hide. They don't really show up for protests and stuff. It's like that's one of the reasons that they like them paying taxes. The government loves illegals paying taxes because they don't file their taxes afterwards. They don't get back any of their taxes because they don't file the paperwork because they don't want to get caught. So the government gets to keep all that. So they love that. That's why one of the reasons that they always loved illegal immigrants paying taxes because they know they ain't filing their taxes later and getting the money back. So they get to keep all of it because most of them don't make enough money to actually pay any taxes. So they would get it back if they filed their forms, but since they're illegal, they don't file them. That's a fact. I mean, that's just a fact that the vast majority of money paid in through illegals who are working legally in the country, they don't file their taxes. They don't get their money back. So the government loves that. They don't tend to show up for big, high-profile rallies, especially when they know ICE will be around. It just doesn't make sense logically. I mean, why are people being convinced to think illogically? Mo G says, can you make a new Peek-a-Pew design, at least for a limited time, that says all you're catching is copper? I have Pika's revolver loaded up with Underwood and have Pika's revolver loaded up with extreme penetrators? No, because they'll get me if I do that. I've already been gotten on the Pikachu designs, and I got the warning that if you try to put them back, or variations thereof, you will be removed from the platform. So can't do that. Frosted DB says, people at the protest said Trump isn't the king in this situation. It's Stephen Miller. What are your opinions on this assertion? Stephen Miller? I don't think he's king of anything. I think he's a lackey in the Trump administration that, is facilitated by the Trump administration, but he ain't got no individual support or real power. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm not well informed on the situation. Maybe I'm not either. Maybe he is the great puppet master or something, but it doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. Anybody else got any info on that? Because I don't. Stephen Miller, really? He's pulling the strings? I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, I might be completely in the dark, but I don't think that makes sense. Gerald Cagney said, my new pistol and knife, Grandpa. That's one of them there SIGs, ain't it? The P365. I like the knife. That's a pretty knife. Who made the knife? Does it say on it? I can't see on what it says. Jerry Carney? Canby? I don't know what it says. Jerry something. I like the design. Let's see. Frosted DB says, have you been able to try the Harbor Freight weapon light? What's your opinion on it? I have not. In fact, until you just said something, I'm not sure I was ever aware that it existed. But I looked it up. And it's $49. Looks a lot like a stream light. So, it might be worth a try. How bad could it be? It's a flashlight. I've never understood why flashlights are really, really expensive. They're fucking flashlights. Oh, this one's really bright, though. It's a big fucking deal. It's flashlight. It turns on and it turns off. Turns on and it turns off. I'm like, why is that $175? Never got that. Per Gustafsson chimed in with his tithe, so he don't get Lyme disease. That said, hail, is there any difference in how they work, a 1911 and a high power? I have no experience with those high powers. Well, no, not basically. They're both single action guns that are meant to be carried cocked and locked. And you just pull it, disengage the safety, and pull the trigger. So in basic performance, they're pretty much exactly the same. Now, mechanics, they're a little different. The main difference that I would say, well, other than things like the 1911 has a grip safety. The Browning high power does not have a grip safety. The high powers tend to have a magazine safety. 1911s don't tend to have a magazine safety. But I think the biggest difference between the two of them, other than, some ergonomics and some minor things like that, the biggest difference is the Browning high power uses a traditional pivot trigger. It pivots on that top point, like regular, like most guns, revolvers, etc. Whereas the 1911 is a straight back trigger that slides backwards in a channel and releases the trigger that way, or the hammer that way. So to me, that's the biggest difference, the trigger. Instead of having a pivoting trigger that, pulls forward a bar that releases, everything, that releases the sear and releases the hammer, it is a sliding trigger that goes straight back. You don't have to have any tilt or anything. It's just straight back pressure. And it pushes on a little piece that releases the sear and fires the gun. That's the biggest difference, other than looks and some minor mechanical differences. But that's the major difference. I prefer the 1911. I mean, the 1911 as far as the trigger, because, it's hard to beat a 1911 trigger. Brownings don't have as good triggers as 1911 because that way that trigger is designed, the way it slides back in the channel and just activates that little fingery thing in the back. It's very smooth, very clean, very crisp, very light. Whereas a high power trigger is more traditional. And if they include the magazine safety, it makes it a little grittier and heavier. But I like the looks and stuff of a high power better. I wish they made high powers in 10 millimeter or 40 at least. They did make some in 40. You can find them in 40, but it's rare. Who asked that? Is that Per Gustafsson that just asked that? That was a good question. See, people ask more questions like that. I like answering questions like that. But has anybody in here tried the Harbor Freight light? Maybe y'all can answer for that other question. Also, speaking of lights, we got John Heasley sent me an email here, and he said his new O lights. Those are pretty. I like that one, especially the big one, but the little one's cool too. I've got several of this little one. What is this one? Is that the charging for this one? Because some of them come with that where you can charge them in it. I never got any that have that. Mine just have a little cord that you plug into the wall and sit it on it. But I like that green one. You should send me that. Did you buy that for me? That was very nice if you bought that for me. Which makes me think you probably didn't, because since when does John Heasley do nice things for me? Let's see here. Where are we at? Let me go over and see if we got any questions coming in. I don't even think there's any questions in the live chat. We might be done because that looks like that was all the emails. I think I got all the emails answered. I did. And we're done with all the super chats. Pretty sure. Yeah, I got all them answered. Let's go over. And we didn't get enough to give away so we won't worry about that tonight. Protesters held up traffic by manning overpasses Friday evening. Yeah, that happens sometimes. Happens also with like parades and stuff. So it's kind of something you got to plan around. It's part of living in a free society. That's as far up as I can go. Let's see what else we got here. Holdover organizers responsible for damage and cleanup from protests. Well, they kind of do that. You got to get permits and stuff. But the city is usually, when you get a permit and stuff, they know as long as there's nothing outrageous, we will take care of cleanup and stuff like that usually afterwards. That's why, employs people and stuff. If Portland is burning, you should smell smoke. Yeah, Portland ain't burning. I haven't gone downtown in a while. My sister was down there yesterday. Sent me lots of pictures. But yeah, you can see Portland. People post Portland all the time on social media and stuff. Portland ain't burning. Portland is a beautiful city, actually. It's a great city to go down and be in. Now the homeless are a little bit of a problem, but if you stay in the main part of the city, they have done a pretty good job of pushing them out to the outer parts of the city. So it's only like if you go over in the southeast and stuff like that you really see homeless people, or you go to the park blocks where all the hippies hang out. But the homelessness is a problem. That's one of the things we should be dealing with more than anything else. Homeless is a bigger problem than Antifa any day of the week. Not because they're violent or causing trouble, but just the fact that they exist. That's a problem. Not that we need to wipe out homeless people. I mean, we need to make it to where there's not so many homeless people. The right way. I don't want to get canceled here for suggesting that we need to just wipe out all homeless people. Well, that's not what I'm saying. I don't think that's what I'm saying. I just finished Werewolves on Hulu this evening. Have you seen it? And what do you think? Is that the one that has the guy that plays Rick Flag in it? Where it's like everyone becomes a werewolf if they get exposed to the full moon or something like that. Or like a certain number of people, if they get exposed to the full moon, they turn into werewolves on a certain night, the special moon. Is that with that one? If so, that sucked. I mean, any werewolf movie is better than no werewolf movie, but that was towards the bottom of the list, I'll say. Kamala Harris just asked, where were all of those No Kings people when I needed them last year? Exactly. Where were they? They didn't like you. They might be pretty far left, and maybe some of them are even out of touch with reality, but they know that you weren't a good idea. And that's what everybody talks about. They talk about how bad Trump is. I'm like, well, yeah. So how bad do you think that makes Kamala Harris? That, like, Clinton was the only person that could have gotten Trump his first term. If they'd have ran anybody else, he would not have won his first term. But it was her turn, so she got to run, and she was such a bad candidate that was being forced down people's throats. So what does that say about Clinton? And the fact that they elected Trump, again, when even people on the right have a problem with Trump. A lot of people on the right have a problem with Trump. But not so much that they were willing to take a chance on Kamala Harris. And a lot of people on the left were like, oh, I hate Trump. But if my option is Kamala Harris, I'm just going to stay home. So what does that tell you about Kamala Harris? Take that as a clue. If they can get more people to show up in the rain for a rally, then you can get to show up to vote for you. Take that as a clue. Go away. Pablo Picasso carried a revolver loaded with blanks, which he would fire at whoever asked him what his work meant. It's a good way to get yourself hurt. I'm nervous when I see outlaw motorcycle clubs at a protest because they will definitely throw down if they're provoked. They often show up at veterans' funerals. Well, they do that a lot of times to protect the veterans' funerals because, you had, what's his face, that church that would show up and protest funerals and say the soldiers were going to hell and all this other stuff to get money. And they were wanting to provoke retaliation so that they could sue the city and get a lot of money. But after a while, it just got to where people started figuring out, hey, let's leave them alone and let's go trash their vehicles and all this other stuff. It's they're not as prominent now. And plus the guy died, the main guy who was the attorney, he died. But those people were disgusting. I keep telling people that the protests are concentrated in certain areas of Portland. These demonstrations are not citywide. Well, they're not even close to citywide. The things that they see around the ice, that's just around the ice building. And I don't know if anybody's ever been to downtown Portland, but if you're standing on the opposite side of the river from the city and looking over at downtown Portland, the ice building is off in a little corner over to the left, in a little place where the only thing really there is streets where people get off of like the interstates and stuff and make their way into the city. It's nothing really much there. And that's where the ice protests are. And if you've ever actually been over there and seen them, it's like 7 or 8 people generally wearing suits and giving out cookies and playing drums and stuff. It's not impressive. It's definitely not dangerous. And as far as most of the homeless and stuff in downtown, they're mostly around the park blocks. Because over there at the far end of the park blocks, the park blocks run the length of the city from one end to the other. And on the far end over here, on the far south side, that's also where like the courthouse and the government building and everything is right there on the park blocks. So that's where the radicals tend to hang out over there by those buildings. Unfortunately, on the other side of the street is the Performing Arts Center. So if you're going down to town to see Wicked or something, you're going to see them on the park blocks. But other than that, it's definitely not everywhere. And it's very safe in the city. Let's see here. Are we almost done? I think that was the last of the chats over here. Let's see. Wait, someone's asking a question that's not putting. What is your favorite 40 cal hammer fired pistol? My Beretta 96. That's a pretty easy question there. Did you look at that New Jersey case last night while you was pooping? I read the case and it seems like it's just another case of an official in a state trying to take advantage of a situation because it's not even predicated on actual incidences. It's basically saying because they broke this law, but they've never been shown to have broken the law. Because they produced an unsafe product, they've never been proven to produce an unsafe product. So it's just a bunch of horse shit from what I saw. I'm greatly, because it's not a case of, oh, this happened to someone. No, it's a case of a politician saying, because all these things happened, we're going to do this. but never proven the things ever actually happened. I am greatly amused by the Portland protesters in inflatable costumes and marching bands. That's how they do it here. They're weird. I'll tell you that. My sister was down there. I saw her she actually got on the news. She was dressed as a cow, carrying a sign that says, "My grandfather is I'm a proud granddaughter of a Pearl Harbor survivor." Let's see. Are we all caught up on the supers and the emails? Let me make sure before we get out of here. I think Per Gustafsson was the last super chat. He was. Let me check the emails. We got one more coming in. It says, Archie Simmons says, the rally that the local media show here was from the next state over. Most of them were illegals because they talked in Spanish. They were talking about the U.S. murder people and deporting people back to Latin America. There were a few Americans there. I'd like to know what city that was, because I didn't see that at all. If it was on the news, it should be easy to link something. I think you're being brainwashed. And just because someone speaks Spanish doesn't mean they're an illegal. A lot of people speak Spanish. And if they were speaking Spanish, how'd you know what they were talking about? Do you speak Spanish? Are you illegal? Let's see. I think we're all caught up. That's all the emails. It's all the super chats. And we had one order I read. So I think we're done. So I want to say thanks to everybody for showing up today and participating. I appreciate it. Remember, if you want to go buy merch, help support the channel. Sign up for the channel, all those things. I appreciate it. Did I say that when we were doing our beginning today? I think I did. I don't remember. But I'm going to go finish touching up a little bit on the paint, doing a little wet sanding so I can get it ready for clear coat tomorrow. I'll see you all then tomorrow, not while I'm out doing that. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Until then, remember, always carry and stay safe until I see you again.